I am currently changing the exhaust pipes. They are rotten through. To do this, I had to remove the engines and out drives. Well, while everything is easy to get to here, I decided to install underwater lights. My wife has been asking for a long time, saying that everyone's boats glow so beautifully at night in the marina, but we have nothing. I had to deal with underwater lights, despite the fact that I am currently doing such a complicated repair. First, I measured everything inside the boat, where I can put these lights so they don't interfere with anything. And then I transferred the measurements outside and began to drill calmly without fear of damaging anything. I first drill with the small drill bit and then increase the drill bit size to the size I need. Otherwise the fiberglass may crack and crumble at the entrance and exit of the hole. I make the holes for the screws about half a millimeter smaller than the diameter for the screw. If I make the holes smaller, the screw can get stuck in the fiberglass, and they are made of 316 stainless steel, and they are very easy to break it, which I really don't want. For the wire, the hole is half a millimeter larger than the diameter of the wire, so that the wire fits in easily, and so that holes in the hull are minimal. For sealing, I use marine-grade silicone that can be used below the waterline. It is necessary to thoroughly clean the surface, so that silicone will adhere well and won't leak water in the future. I have to be very gentle and tender with the lanterns. They are plastic, and any awkward movement can cost me $40. But at least they won't rust. The first light was a training one. I hope the rest will be easier and faster to install. I always remember that the light is plastic and the screw are 316 stainless steel. I don't put in an extra effort to avoid creating problems for myself. Now I carefully seal everything with silicone on the outside for greater reliability. I remove the excess silicone and it seems I can move on to the second lantern. On this side everything is the same, nothing new. First I check inside the boat whether it's possible to put a lantern in this place or not. Then I transfer the dimensions to the chosen place outside and start drilling. I also need to thoroughly clean the old anti-fallen where the lights mount. The boat is currently on the lift and I don't need the anti-fallen anymore, so I just wait for it to wash off with seawater and only clean the areas I need. Here I also drill twice. First with a thin drill and then to the size I need, so that the fiberglass doesn't chip off. It's advisable to countersink the edges of the holes with a larger diameter drill or countersink, again to prevent chipping of the fiberglass edges. Before installation, of course, I check each light, so that there are no surprises later. I've installed 2 lights, and now I am starting with the third one, in the middle of the boat's hull. The process is the same. Clean the surface, mark it, drill with a thin drill, then drill to the correct size, and then install the light, sealing all the holes with the marine grade silicone. The screws I use are 316 stainless steel. The ones that came with the kit were 304, but I don't like them. They rust too much in salt water. This is what the boat looks like with underwater lights installed, but without outdrives. Now I start doing the wiring. First I have to solder the connectors to all three lights. That's easy to say, but it takes a lot of fiddling and time to do. The first connector is ready. The second and third, I hope, will be faster. All three connectors are ready, and I can start assembling the harness. But I forgot to wash the soldering points with alcohol to wash off the flux. But it's never too late. I'll wash them now. Otherwise, these places will start to corrode quickly. And here, even without flux, the marine environment is very aggressive. Now everything is clear. The circuit is simple and there are no difficulties in assembling such wiring. Of course, I can clamp the wires in the terminals, but for reliability, I'll solder everything. First, I make 3 connectors that will connect to the connectors on the lights. I do all 3 the same way. Black wire is positive, white is negative. I don't forget to thoroughly wash all soldering areas with alcohol. Now I have to insert the finished wires into the connector housings. I insert silicone seals tightly to seal the connector and prevent moisture from getting inside. I solder these 3 connectors in parallel, all 3 black wires together to the positive black wire, and the 3 white wires together to the negative white wire. I put heat shrink wrap on the wires ahead of time, so I can insulate those areas later, instead of using electrical tape. I think it'll look more beautiful and reliable. I wash everything with alcohol again. I don't need wiring problems somewhere in the ocean. There are enough things in the boat that can break without my clumsy intervention and my mistakes. That's why I try to do everything as correctly as possible, and not to make additional breakages myself. But sometimes it happens. I carefully examine the wires from all sides and solder them from all sides, so there are no doubts left. After manipulation with alcohol, I pull on the prepared heat shrink and heat it with my air gun. In my opinion, it turns out pretty good. At least I like it. And it looks quite reliable. Another piece of heat shrink to complete the picture in this place. This end with the ring will be connected to the positive 12-volt terminal on the boat. And this end to the relay, through which 12 volts will flow to the lights. The steps are the same: soldering, cleaning with alcohol, and insulating with heat shrink. This is a wire that has connectors for the lights on one end, and I solder the other end to connect to the relay. I don't have a wiring diagram. The diagram is simple, so it's all in my head, but I drew it for the video. It would be clear what I am doing here. Here is the last terminal on the last wire. Now I can say the harness is ready. Oops, not ready yet. Another heat shrink. Now it seems I can connect the relay and install everything on the boat. This is what the assembled harness looks like. The white wire will be connected to the existing transom light and will turn on the underwater lights. This way I can have all the blue lights on at the same time, both on the transom and underwater from one switch. Besides, there will be no additional load on the existing wiring and switch, which are located quite far from underwater lights. I took the relay with a 30 amp fuse. It's a pity that it's not sealed, but there was no other one in my garage. I'll have to find something suitable on Ali and replace it. Here I connect into one of the 3 transom lights. I do everything in the same order: soldering, cleaning with alcohol, and inflating with heat shrink. I won't show the rest of the connections. It will only take up extra time. Plus to plus, minus to minus, everything is clear without my explanations. I plug in the connectors of 3 new lights and can try to turn them on. Oh, it's turned out great. Everything works. Now I can test it on water when I finish the main repair, replacing the exhaust pipes. And this is how it looks on the water. I successfully finished repairing the boat, and we are already in the Bahamas. I think it looks good. Of course, it's not a Christmas tree, but the main thing is that my wife likes it.